everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. So for today's video, I have some super simple, beginner-friendly Dollar Tree DIYs using my Cricut. Today's video is sponsored by Cricut, so a big thank you to them. So today's video is more of a continuation to my Dollar Tree and Cricut sellable items video, because these items are sellable as well, but they're super duper beginner friendly. So if you like those types of videos, please be sure to hit that subscribe button. Once you hit subscribe, we instantly become best friends.
Did we just become best friends? Yup!
Please go ahead and click on that notification bell, set them to all. YouTube may or may not let you know when I post a video, but in case they don't, follow me on Instagram and all my other socials. I always post what I'm up to there. So let's go ahead and get right into the video. For my first craft, I'm going to be making over this jar, which I found at Dollar Tree. Now, I love that this is a wishing jar, but I feel like you can customize it to be whatever you want. So I'm just going to go ahead and take some chalk paint and paint it. But before, I'm going to remove the string and repurpose it, so I'm not going to break it. Now, I'm using this chalk paint, but Dollar Tree does have Craftwise chalkboard paint, so it is a one-stop shop. For the design, I used a combination of this SVG from Design Bundles and this clip art from Design Bundles. The rosemary sprig and the word rosemary is from the first one, which I'll link below, and the clip art is the orange. So here's a neat little hack. If you have a Cricut Joy and you have leftover or scrap smart vinyl, put it on a mat and cut it using premium outdoor vinyl setting, and it cuts beautifully. Also, when you go to transfer your vinyl, make sure you're slightly folding your transfer tape so that there's no air bubbles. This makes it so much easier to pick up vinyl and transfer it over. Now you can do whatever you want with your jar. I used it for a candle, which is why it's orange and rosemary, and then I adorned it with some dried oranges and a sprig of rosemary that I tied around. I feel like whatever you do with this, it just makes a beautiful custom gift. I found this unicorn AirPod or earphone case at Dollar Tree, and I really wanted to try this hack that I saw all over TikTok and Instagram. So I'm measuring out the space, and then with all of the scraps that I have around the house, I'm just cutting little tiny strips. Because the earphone case is silicone, I'm making sure that all of my vinyl pieces are permanent vinyl. You can also benefit from sealing it in with some sort of resin. I'm honestly not an expert at that, so I'm cutting it as I normally would with a permanent vinyl setting. Because these are super random pieces of vinyl, weeding is going to be a little bit more tedious, but the result looks really cool. So once you are done, transfer it over the same way you would regular vinyl and just add it to your surface. Now, like I said, the surface that I'm using is silicone and it is moldable, so sealing it would probably be best, but I really just wanted to try this since it was a unicorn and it is multicolor, and I think it looks so cute. In the Crafter Square section of Dollar Tree, they have these beautiful frames, but if you can't find them, Michaels also carries these frames and they are the exact same price, so be sure you know that. I'm going to take it apart and start staining. I really should have given this a light sand before. Now I am using stain, but honestly, the color that it ended up, I would have been better off just giving it a watered down brown paint. It would have been a lot less odor and I probably wouldn't have to seal. After it is completely dry, make sure that you're sealing with polyurethane, polyacrylic, whatever you have. This is the SVG that I used. I'll link it below. And now I'm measuring my surface. I cannot stress enough, when you are working with vinyl, measure and measure again. And I'm going to use permanent glossy since this is a frame. Here I am just showing you again to slightly fold your transfer tape so you don't have any air bubbles, and this will make transferring a dream, and start from one corner and end on the other. Dollar Tree always has a huge collection of socks, so I picked up these, and even though it says do not iron, I'm going to show you how I did it. I grabbed these no-slip socks from Dollar Tree, not to wear, but just for this little cardboard cutout, which you can of course cut one out on your own. Now I'm going to measure the surface, as I always stress, and I just used regular font. When you're using iron-on, you want the sticky side face down. Also, make sure you're weeding on your mat. It makes your life a whole lot easier. Now, usually I use the heat guide from Cricut, which I'll link below, but I'm kind of winging it on this one since it says do not iron. So I'm using a medium setting and lightly ironing the top, adding my iron-on where I want it, and now I'm going to use some butcher paper on top. I will link this below. So I am going to do 15 seconds on top, and then I'm going to let this cool down and constantly check. I usually lift the corner once it's cool, and if I notice that it's not sticking to the surface, then I do another 15 seconds. So in total, I did 30 seconds on the top and 15 on the back, and then I peeled while it was completely cool, and it did the trick without yellowing the fabric at all. So I think that this was a win, even though you're technically not supposed to iron this. But this is why I love using dollar store material, because you get to experiment without breaking the bank. Dollar Tree has these super cute fuzzy friends. I didn't find it on this trip, but I did get this at Dollar Tree. I've seen these sold all over Etsy using bigger elephants, so I figured I'd give it a try with the Dollar Tree ones. Now I'm going to measure the inside of the ear. Now I'm going to go ahead and measure the ear. Make sure that you're measuring the shortest part so that you know how wide you want your stencil to be. This is the SVG that I am using. I'll link it below. Now I'm going to go ahead and do the name and that SVG in one cut so that I'm not wasting any vinyl. And remember, always mirror your design and pick your correct vinyl settings. And just like my last iron-on project, you're going to want shiny side down. The last thing you want is to do all this work and then mess up a very good piece of vinyl. So make sure shiny face down all the time. So now I'm going to cut this out, and the reason I love using iron-on is because weeding this is a dream, a serious dream. Cut this down as much as you can and try and cut it in the shape of the ear so that it's nice and flush. So I am looking up the material, and I'm going to go and to the heat guide. For this, I am using their recommendations. So just pick your material and your vinyl, and it's going to tell you exactly what you need to do. So I'm setting up my little mini press. Before you start pressing, make sure that you are using a mat. I will link this Cricut one in the description, and make sure that your mini press is on the correct temperature and green. Now I'm going to place this on there, and I'm just going to start pressing. You can also use the butcher paper for this, but this isn't the first one that I've made, so I know I really didn't have to use it. But when you are trying new material, always use butcher paper so you're not scorching your fabric. Now, if you feel like it doesn't fit perfectly, just go on and cut a little bit more, just so that it fits nicely and the letters aren't just sticking out. that's it for me. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. Please give me a thumbs up if you did. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you so much. And a big thank you to Cricut for sponsoring today's video. And I will hopefully see you on the next one.